did you realize your life was a dumpster fire with no end in sight? I'm literally sitting here in the kitchen of this dumpy trailer park, staring at a stack of mail, and I just realized I completely forgot my own damn anniversary. Not only that, but buried under the junk mail is an eviction notice, and I honestly don't know if I'm going to scream or throw up first. Seriously, I don't even know where to start with this dumpster fire, but I need to vent, and it's 2:37 a.m., so here we go. My name is Louis Bailey, 36M. I'm a veteran of the food service industry, which means I know exactly what kind of hell I'm capable of surviving, and yet somehow I am currently being destroyed by a mobile home in North Dallas and two people who should be on a reality show about terrible life choices. Let's rewind to Tuesday. Tuesday at 11:47 a.m. I work nights, usually closing shifts at a Panera near the interstate. It's brutal, but the tips are okay. And honestly, after 17 years in the industry, making sourdough bowls and managing teenagers is the only thing I'm remotely qualified for. I was supposed to be asleep, but the neighbor's kid was testing out his new drum set again, and I swear the walls in this mobile home trailer 17B in the Sunburst Oasis community are made of paper towels. I was trying to reconcile my bank statement on my iPhone 14. I just paid the plumber $85 last week because Jack, my roommate, 41M, tried to fix the garbage disposal with a butter knife. Past me was an idiot for thinking sharing a place would save money. I live with two people. The first is Jack Chen, 41M. Jack is my best friend from high school, but he's become the literal definition of a messy roommate. He's supposed to be an entrepreneur, which translates to sits on the couch playing Valorant until 4 p.m. and occasionally buys wholesale crap from Alibaba that he never sells. His specific characteristic is being messy. I mean, the man hasn't seen the top of his desk since 2019. He contributes about 30% of the $1,247 monthly rent, usually 3 days late, through a series of complicated Zelle requests that require me to manually confirm his identity every time. The second person is Nancy Jones, 45F. Nancy is the ambitious upstart, or at least she thinks she is. She moved in about 2 years and 8 months ago. She was supposed to be a temporary subletter when she was launching her consulting firm, but she just kind of took over the spare room and decided she was the third permanent resident. She's all business casual and LinkedIn posting, but she mostly just sells overpriced essential oils on Facebook Marketplace. NGL, Nancy has always gotten on my nerves. She's the type of person who leaves passive-aggressive notes about dirty dishes while simultaneously hoarding all the good Talenti gelato in the freezer. And here's where the anniversary comes in. It wasn't a wedding anniversary or anything. It was the anniversary of the day Nancy moved in. I know. Why track the anniversary of your subletter moving in? Because 2 years ago, Nancy and I, in a moment of pure drunk desperation, or maybe it was loneliness, who knows, had this intense, dramatic one-night stand that resulted in us briefly trying to date for like 3 horrible weeks before realizing we had the chemistry of 2 wet socks. The catch? After we broke up, she absolutely refused to move out. She was like, "This is strategic for my business growth, Louis. I need stability." So she stayed. We are now extremely awkward roommates who occasionally passive-aggressively argue about whether or not it's okay to eat someone else's leftover Chipotle. For the past 2 years, on the day she moved in, she's always done something incredibly extra and self-serving. Last year it was buying a tacky, "Congrats on our journey" cake and making me sit through a 45-minute presentation on her 5-year plan for achieving financial freedom through multi-level marketing. I remember texting my sister afterward, "I just want my Hulu password back, please." So Tuesday morning I woke up and I saw a text from Jack. He triple texted, which is his signature move when he needs me to bail him out financially or socially. Jack Chen, 41M. Yo, Jack Chen, 41M. Louis there, Jack Chen, 41M. I am serious, call me back. I rolled my eyes. I literally hate getting texts when I am trying to sleep. I opened the messaging thread, my cracked iPhone screen practically blinding me, and typed back, "I was sleeping." What is so serious at 11:47? Is the fridge broken again? He called immediately. I answered, rubbing my face. "What, Jack?" He was whispering, which meant he was definitely either hiding from Nancy or hiding from a bill collector. Probably both. "Dude, you need to come home now." "I am home. I'm in my room, the one you currently have the laundry piled outside of." "No, I mean come to the kitchen, look at the counter. But don't make any noise." She's in her room on a Zoom meeting wearing her AirPods like she runs a Fortune 500 company. I sighed. I was wearing my stained, ancient Target pajama shirt and a pair of Adidas sweatpants with a hole in the knee. I was done, just done. I felt the familiar tightness in my chest. This is my life. Mobile home drama. I crept out of my room past the tower of dirty clothes that smelled faintly of stale Takis and regret. The kitchen, usually a biohazard zone thanks to Jack, was weirdly clean. Too clean, and then I saw it. On the laminate counter next to the rusting air fryer was a small, perfectly wrapped gift in shimmery purple paper tied with a bow, and a large, professionally printed banner. The banner read, "Happy 2-year 8-month anniversary, Nancy." And underneath, in small script, a testament to strategic cohabitation and shared financial success. I felt my stomach drop. My jaw literally dropped. I walked over, picked up the purple box, and saw a tag tied to it. It read, "To Nancy from Jack, celebrating the stability we've built." I just stood there holding a generic box that probably contained a new diffuser or some garbage, staring at the banner. Jack poked his head out from the hallway looking terrified. "Did you see it?" "The banner? I tried to hide it, man, but she set it up right before I woke up." "Jack," I whispered, my voice thick with something that wasn't quite rage yet, but definitely annoyance. "What the fuck is this?" "I don't know. She says we have a cohabitation anniversary now and she expects a gift." She asked me for $200 in cash yesterday via Cash App for celebratory expenses. I told her I didn't have it because I spent $43.67 at Costco on Ben & Jerry's and 2 giant bags of chicken nuggets, and she just side-eyed me and went into her room. The card says it's from you, I hissed. Why did you get her a gift for the anniversary of when she moved in after trying to date me? Jack looked genuinely confused. I didn't get her anything. That box has been sitting there for like 2 days. I think she bought it herself and just put my name on the tag. I had a flash of clarity. Nancy Jones, ambitious upstart 45F, was running a major gaslighting operation on us both to make us feel obligated to her presence. The audacity, the sheer audacity. I shoved the banner into a nearby recycling bin hoping she wouldn't notice. I was so fixated on the insane drama of Nancy claiming a cohabitation anniversary and trying to extort $200 from Jack that I almost missed the stack of official-looking white envelopes next to the coffee maker. This is the part where the story goes from annoying to absolutely terrifying. I picked up the stack of mail, which included the usual flyers for local pizza joints and a few overdue notices for Jack's abandoned Peloton subscription. The top envelope was crisp, legal-sized, and had the logo of the Mobile Home Park Management Group on it. It was addressed to Louis Bailey and occupants of 17B. I opened it, tearing the paper a little too quickly and unfolded the document. The title in bold, ugly block letters was Notice to Vacate Failure to Comply with Lease Agreement. I blinked. I read it again. I read the date, issued 2 days ago. I read the reason. Outstanding balance of $347 for late fees and utility overages. Violation of Community Rule 5.3, excessive noise disturbances, 27 documented calls in the last 30 days. Violation of Community Rule 2.1, unauthorized occupant subletting, failure to provide updated lease agreement documentation for additional residents Nancy Jones and Jack Chen for 18 months. And then the kicker. Due to these persistent violations, the month-to-month lease agreement will not be renewed. Tenant and all occupants must vacate the premises within 60 days. I was literally shaking, full body shaking. I glanced over at Jack, who was still trying to stealthily eat leftover pizza for breakfast. Jack, did you see this? I held the paper up, my hand trembling so badly the paper rattled. Jack squinted at the paper. Is that the late notice for the $347 bill? Yeah, I figured we'd pay that Friday. We always do. That's just the noise complaints from your friend Nancy calling the office about my gaming headset being too loud, right? No, Jack, we're being evicted. 60 days. We have to move out of the Sunburst Oasis community, I whispered, feeling the dizzy sensation you get right before you black out. Wait, what? Are you serious? But where will I keep my new Amazon inventory? I just ordered 50 mini drones. I couldn't deal with the mini drones. I couldn't deal with Jack. I definitely couldn't deal with the fact that Nancy, who I had briefly, embarrassingly dated, had been contributing to our demise by being a busybody who called the park office 27 times about excessive noise disturbances. I bet she used her Apple Watch to time the sound levels. The practical side of my brain, the one that had worked 60-hour weeks in food service for years, kicked in. I started doing the math. Security deposit, gone. First month's rent and security deposit for a new place. We were already struggling to cover the $1,247 here, and everywhere else in Dallas is worse. I had exactly $200 in my savings after that plumber charge. This is insane. This is Nancy's fault, you know that, right? She's been making those noise complaints because she wants the place to herself or she wants to look like the responsible one. Jack suddenly looked pale. Wait, hold up, unauthorized occupants. Louis, I thought you added me to the lease back in 2021. I did. You signed the initial 12-month lease with me, but when we shifted to month-to-month, the management company sent updated paperwork a year ago to confirm who was still living here, and you and Nancy both forgot to sign and return it. I remember sending Nancy the PDF and her texting back, I'll get to it later. So much going on right now. You're being dramatic. Past me was such an idiot for not chasing that down. I was too tired, too focused on covering the bills, too focused on making sure we had enough for the $43.67 grocery run to Trader Joe's. I swear, man, I thought I signed it. My desk is really messy. Maybe it's under the pile of magic cards? Jack rambled, clearly panicking now. Suddenly, Nancy's door opened. She walked out looking immaculate in a tailored blue blazer and holding a Starbucks cup I knew she'd stolen my last 15 PTO hours to buy those expensive coffees. She paused, looked at the empty spot where the banner had been, and then looked at the eviction notice crumpled in my hand. Her expression didn't change. She just looked mildly irritated, like I was blocking her path to the kettle. Louis, darling, Nancy Jones, 45F, said in that sickeningly sweet tone she uses when she's about to deliver terrible news. Is everything all right? That letter looks terribly official. I just stared at her. We are being evicted in 60 days because you keep calling the office and you never signed the lease agreement paperwork that would have clarified the occupants. Nancy walked to the sink and began rinsing out her Starbucks cup, totally unbothered. Oh, that old thing. Yes, well, I believe I read the paperwork quite carefully. It simply stated that the primary leaseholder, which is you, Louis, is responsible for communicating the official status of the other residents. You are an unauthorized occupant, Nancy, you and Jack. Well, I was going to address that, she said, pulling a damp sheet of paper out of her blazer pocket. Actually, Louis, I needed to talk to you about something else entirely. She laid a perfectly folded piece of paper on the counter next to my shaking hand. It was a formal-looking document printed on heavy stock. I know the mobile home park is a bit small for my professional trajectory, she continued, completely ignoring the eviction notice, so I have decided to relocate to a better area. I found a lovely studio apartment near the 5th floor office building where I hope to acquire future clientele. My immediate thought was, thank God, she's finally leaving. We can salvage this. Maybe if we get rid of the noise source and pay the late fee immediately, they'll rescind the 60-day notice. Good, when are you moving out? I asked, feeling a sliver of hope. She smiled brightly. That's what this letter is for, dear. I snatched the paper and read the title. It was a demand for reimbursement and damages. I was numb, but I kept reading. To Louis Bailey, 36M. This serves as official notice that I, Nancy Jones, 45F, require immediate reimbursement for financial damages incurred due to the failure of the primary leaseholder to maintain a peaceful, professionally conducive living environment. Damages include loss of business due to loud interruptions during critical client Zoom calls, $2,500 estimate, emotional distress and loss of sleep, $1,500 estimate, and the cost of the celebratory anniversary gift that was not acknowledged or returned, $347. Total damages owed, $4,347. My vision blurred. $4,347. She wanted over $4,000 from me. She was charging me for the gift she bought herself. She was charging me for emotional distress caused by the eviction she helped instigate. What is this, Nancy? Are you serious? I said, the rage finally bubbling up hot and metallic. I was seeing red. Perfectly serious, Louis, she said, taking a dramatic sip of her expensive coffee. After all the stability and support I've provided here, only for you to allow this whole situation to collapse and jeopardize my firm's standing? Frankly, Louis, I'm just lucky I'm ambitious enough to have a contingency plan. I suggest you get your finances in order immediately. I will accept a Zelle transfer by Friday at 5:30 p.m. I wanted to scream. I wanted to take that half-finished sourdough starter I had in the fridge and smear it all over her blazer. I wanted to key her beat-up Toyota Corolla. Jack finally stepped out of the hallway, eyes wide. Nancy, you can't be serious. You're charging Louis $4,000. This doesn't involve you, Jack, Nancy said dismissively. You just need to get your share of the remaining rent to Louis by tomorrow, please. And Louis, I'd suggest you figure out what you're going to do about the police report I filed this morning. I felt my heart stop. Police report? What police report? Nancy adjusted her cufflink, which looked suspiciously like one of the cheap charms I bought on Amazon last year. Oh yes, I had to ensure documentation. Since you are the primary leaseholder, and since you, Louis, are entirely responsible for the breakdown of the lease agreement, I felt compelled to file a report documenting the entire sequence of events, including the unauthorized withdrawal of $200 from our previously shared emergency fund account 2 weeks ago. I told them I was concerned about financial mismanagement and, frankly, Louis, theft. I stood there holding the eviction notice and the demand for $4,347, feeling like I was going to throw up all over my Target pajamas. Wait, what? I stammered. I needed that money for the overdue electric bill. We talked about that. You're remembering it wrong, Louis, Nancy said, the classic gaslighting tone ringing true. I distinctly remember telling you that fund was strictly for shared community improvements, such as the new Ring doorbell I purchased. You took that money without authorization. I just want my reimbursement, and frankly, I want this whole nightmare to be over so I can focus on my business. You're being dramatic. She was smiling. She was actually smiling at me while telling me I was being evicted, that I owed her thousands of dollars, and that she had filed a police report against me for stealing my own money. I looked at Jack, who looked horrified. Jack looked at the eviction notice. Jack looked at the demand letter. Jack looked at me, his messy roommate, and then Jack looked at Nancy. Nancy, you absolute monster, Jack whispered, shaking his head. Watch your language, Jack, Nancy warned, stepping past me toward the front door. I'm going to Starbucks to finalize my client deck. I expect the Zelle transfer by Friday. She opened the door, stepped out, and let the cheap metal screen door slam shut behind her. I was left alone in the disgusting kitchen, holding the paper that confirmed I was broke, homeless, and possibly facing legal trouble, all before 9 a.m. The police report. She actually filed a police report. I felt the immense, terrifying rush of panic. I dropped the papers on the counter, grabbed my car keys, and bolted out the door, driving my beat-up 2018 Honda Civic straight toward the nearest Target parking lot just to breathe. I'm typing this from the car right now, parked in spot A14, trying not to look suspicious. My phone battery is at 37% and my notifications are stacking up. She filed a report. She actually did it. I don't know if I'm going to owe her $4,347, if I'm going to be arrested for theft, or if Jack and I are going to be living in the Honda Civic in 2 months. I have to figure out if I can somehow reverse this eviction, or if I have to call the police myself to get Nancy to stop this absolute nonsense. I literally have no idea what to do next. I need advice and maybe some legal suggestions, but mostly I need to know if anyone else has ever dealt with someone with this level of absolute psychotic audacity. The police report. I have to go deal with the police report. I'll update when I get back from the police station if I don't get arrested first. Wish me luck. I'm heading over there now. I need to get ahead of this before she spins some insane story about me being unstable and threatening her business. I just hope they don't ask about the stolen Talenti gelato I ate last night. That might complicate things. Okay, I'm back. I'm not at Target anymore. I drove from the Target parking lot straight to the police station, just like I said, and I sat there in the parking lot for another 45 minutes before I could even work up the nerve to walk inside. NGL, my hands were shaking so bad I almost dropped my phone into the drainage ditch. I was picturing myself in handcuffs being processed for stealing my own damn electric bill money. The sheer panic was overwhelming. I had to remind myself I am Louis Bailey, food service veteran, survivor of 5 different Black Fridays in a strip mall Panera. I can handle a desk sergeant, so I went in. It was exactly as soul-crushing as you'd imagine. Fluorescent lights, stale coffee smell, and a very bored officer named Officer Rodriguez. I started explaining the situation, keeping it very high level at first. I'm here because I received an eviction notice, and one of the occupants of my mobile home, Nancy Jones, filed some kind of report against me this morning, claiming financial mismanagement and theft of $200. Officer Rodriguez looked at me like I was describing a particularly bad episode of Judge Judy. He typed something into his computer for a full 2 minutes. The silence was deafening. He finally looked up. Sir, we have a misdemeanor complaint filed by Nancy Jones, residing at Trailer 17B Sunburst Oasis Community. She claims you improperly withdrew $200 from a shared household account and failed to provide transparency regarding housing stability, leading to emotional distress. I literally just stared at him. Emotional distress? She's charging me for emotional distress. And it wasn't a shared account, it was money I put aside for the overdue electric bill that she helped run up by leaving the portable heater on high all winter. I pulled out the eviction notice and Nancy's insane $4,347 demand letter. I slapped them onto the counter. I was breathing heavy. Officer Rodriguez didn't even touch the papers. He just sighed. Sir, this is a civil matter. It sounds like you have a tenancy disagreement and a dispute over shared finances. We took the initial report because she claimed unauthorized withdrawal of funds, but based on your description and the nature of the cohabitation, this is not a criminal theft case. It's a he said, she said with roommates. You need to talk to a lawyer, not the police. It was the most anticlimactic yet most relieving thing I've ever heard. No handcuffs, no mugshot. Just a very clear directive that Nancy Jones was wasting the police's time and mine with her ridiculous business casual drama. So she can't actually have me arrested? I asked, just needing to hear it confirmed. No sir, not for this. Change your passwords, block her on all payment apps and get a lawyer, he advised. And maybe stop living with your ex-flings, just a thought. I thanked him, feeling about 50 pounds lighter even though the eviction notice was still very real. I drove straight home. Update. The kitchen confrontation. I got back to 17B and Jack was still hovering nervously in the hallway looking pale. He was trying to stack his piles of clothes, which was a bad sign. Jack only attempts to clean when he thinks the world is ending. Louis, dude, where were you? Nancy sent me a text demanding I sell her my portion of the rent and she said if I don't, I'm part of her secondary legal action. Relax, Jack. I went to the police station. It's a civil issue. She can't arrest me and she can't arrest you. She's just trying to scare us, I said, dropping my keys heavily onto the counter. I pulled out Nancy's demand letter again and started highlighting the key absurdities. Jack, she charged me $347 for the celebratory anniversary gift that was not acknowledged or returned. She bought herself the gift and put your name on it. What? Jack yelled, forgetting his stealth mission. That purple box. I thought maybe it was one of her essential oil diffusers. She wants $347 for that. That's like 3 months of my coffee budget. And get this, I continued, pacing the small kitchen floor. She listed $2,500 in damages for loss of business due to loud interruptions during critical client Zoom calls. You know what those interruptions were? The noise complaints she filed about your gaming headset. Jack sat down hard on one of the dilapidated dining chairs. She's been using my noise to weaponize the landlord against us, Louis. That is next level sociopathic. This was the first time Jack actually seemed to grasp the scope of Nancy's actions, and in GL it was a turning point. Jack, for all his messiness and financial irresponsibility, is fundamentally a decent, if lazy, guy. Nancy, however, was playing 4D chess with our literal housing security. Yeah, man. And the eviction notice lists violation of Community Rule 5.3, excessive noise disturbances, 27 documented calls in the last 30 days. That's Nancy. She set this up, I confirmed. She wanted us gone so she could look like the financially responsible one and take over the lease, but she failed to sign the updated paperwork, so the landlord just decided to nuke the whole tenancy. Jack finally looked determined. Okay, this is war. We have to call the landlord, right? Tell them the truth about Nancy. We pay the $347 in late fees and we try to beg. I grabbed my laptop. That's exactly what we're going to do. But first we need to document everything. Jack, I need you to go through every text message, every Zelle request, every passive-aggressive post-it note she ever left. We need to build a case that she is a hostile, disruptive tenant who actively tried to undermine the leaseholder. Jack surprisingly sprang into action. I have screenshots of her demanding $200 from me last month for community garden funds when we don't even have a community garden. She just wanted the money. We spent the rest of the afternoon, through my usual sleep time, hunched over my laptop compiling a Nancy dossier. It was actually therapeutic. We found texts where she complained to Jack about me working late shifts and being too depressing to live with, and emails where she aggressively demanded I change the Wi-Fi password to something more professional because she couldn't remember my original one, which was, I admit, 40 acres and a mule. So it's been 2 weeks since. A lot has happened. The initial shock wore off, replaced by a relentless grinding stress that made my shifts at Panera feel like a vacation. The landlord situation, the Mobile Home Park Management Group, Sunburst Oasis Acquisitions LLC, is run by a woman named Brenda who has the personality of dried oatmeal. I called her first thing the next morning, heart pounding. I explained everything. The noise complaints being fabricated by Nancy. The fact that Nancy and Jack failed to sign the updated paperwork because Nancy told me not to worry about it. I even offered to pay the $347 late fee immediately and sign a new lease for myself and Jack only. Brenda listened, silent, for about 5 minutes. Mr. Bailey, she finally said, her voice flat. The issue is not just the $347, which is now $412 due to accruing daily penalties. The issue is the consistent, documented disruption to the community. 27 documented noise calls in 30 days is excessive. Furthermore, the issue of unauthorized occupants reflects a failure to manage your lease. We are upholding the 60-day notice. You need to vacate by the 14th of next month. I tried to argue. I tried to beg. I tried mentioning that I'd been the primary leaseholder there for 5 years and had always paid my rent even if Jack's part was always late. We understand this is frustrating, Mr. Bailey, Brenda droned, clearly reading from a script. However, the decision is final. We must maintain community standards. We will pursue legal action if you are not out by the deadline. The phone call ended. I hung up the phone and just sat there defeated. We were really genuinely evicted. The legal quagmire and financial doom. I took Officer Rodriguez's advice and contacted a legal aid referral service. I got a 30-minute consultation with a real estate lawyer, which cost me $150 I really didn't have. The lawyer, a friendly woman named Sarah, confirmed 2 things. 1, Nancy's $4,347 demand letter is absolutely unenforceable. It's essentially a bad fanfiction version of a lawsuit. I need to ignore it, block her, and under no circumstances pay her anything. If she tries to sue, I can countersue for harassment and defamation, especially given the false police report. 2, the eviction, however, is likely legitimate because of the failure to correctly document the occupants and the sheer volume of noise complaints. Since we are on a month-to-month lease, they only need to give proper notice, which 60 days is. Sarah said fighting it would cost thousands and likely only delay the inevitable. Louis, your best move is to focus on getting out and finding a new place, Sarah advised. Do you have proof that the $200 she claimed you stole went toward a legitimate household expense? I have the bank statement showing the $200 transfer to the power company, I confirmed. Excellent, keep that. If she tries to escalate, you have the defense. But right now you need to dedicate every waking hour to finding a new apartment and managing the deposit funds. Which brings us to the money. Jack and I had exactly 4 weeks to find a new place. Rent in this part of Dallas is insane. A decent 1-bedroom apartment requires a $1,500 deposit and $1,600 first month's rent. We were looking at $3,100 minimum. I looked at my bank account, $53 left. Jack, seeing the seriousness of the situation, did something unprecedented. He sold all 50 mini drones he had just ordered from Alibaba along with a stack of rare magic cards and managed to scrape together $1,200. I almost cried. It was the most responsible thing he had done since high school. I'm serious, Louis, Jack said, handing me the cash. I know I messed up with the lease and the dishes, but I'm not going to let you live in your Honda Civic because of Nancy. We now had $1,253. Still not enough, but a start. The Nancy exit strategy. Nancy was ecstatic about moving out. She was completely oblivious to the fact that her actions had resulted in us all being homeless. She started packing her room, but not before issuing one final, brutal act of passive aggression. 3 days after the confrontation, I got home from a brutal closing shift at 1 a.m. I went into the bathroom to wash my face and found a note taped to the mirror. It was on professional embossed stationery that read, Nancy Jones Consulting. The note read, Louis, I noticed you finished the Talenti Gelato last night, pistachio. As a courtesy, I have left a detailed receipt taped to the freezer. Please reimburse me $8.99 via Cash App immediately. Also, TBH, I found the bathroom counter to be quite sticky. Try to be more mature about shared spaces. I look forward to your speedy Zelle transfer of the $4,347. She left a receipt for the gelato. NGL, I nearly went postal. I took a photo of the note and the receipt and immediately sent it to Jack. Me, SHE left a receipt for the gelato. The gall. Jack, LOL, send that to Sarah the lawyer. That's Exhibit A for the harassment case. She's insane. I texted Nancy back, breaking my rule about ignoring her. The police confirmed your report is a civil matter and your demand for $4,347 is baseless. Do not contact me again or I will file a harassment report. As for the Talenti, I'll deduct that from the $200 in late fees you owe for failure to sign the lease. I blocked her number immediately after that. I also changed the Wi-Fi password to Nancy's A Clown Show 404. Petty, yes. Necessary? Absolutely. A week went by where we barely spoke. She was busy doing client meetings in her room, and I was busy working 60 hours a week and spending my 2 off days touring the most disgusting, depressing rental properties Dallas had to offer. Jack was helping, using his entrepreneurial spirit to scour Craigslist for cheap furniture and U-Haul quotes. 3 days after that, the big confrontation the day Nancy was scheduled to move out finally arrived. It was a Saturday and I had taken the day off, sacrificing my PTO hours just to make sure she was actually gone and didn't take my toaster oven. She hired 2 very confused college kids to help her move her professional assets, mostly boxes of essential oils and cheap blazers. She came out into the kitchen carrying her enormous Samsonite suitcase looking perfectly composed. Jack and I stood by the front door, silent, watching her. Well, Louis, she said, adjusting her scarf, this is it. I'm finally moving into a space commensurate with my professional growth. I trust you and Jack will vacate 17B promptly by the deadline. I left instructions for the water heater on the fridge since you seem incapable of managing simple household maintenance. Nancy, we're being evicted because of you, I said, calm but firm. 27 noise complaints you filed in a month. You sabotaged the lease. She scoffed. Oh, please. Don't be melodramatic. If you had maintained a proper professional environment and managed your finances, none of this would be happening. I was simply documenting the failures of the leaseholder. It's called risk mitigation, Louis. Maybe you should invest in some professional development courses instead of blaming others for your lack of ambition. Jack finally cracked. He stepped forward. You filed a police report against Louis for stealing money that paid our electric bill, Nancy. You charged us thousands of dollars for made-up emotional damage. You wanted this place to yourself, and when you realized you couldn't swing the full rent, you decided to nuke the whole thing and make Louis pay for your relocation costs. Nancy glared at Jack, the perfect corporate mask finally cracking. You know nothing, Jack. You're a lazy, useless drain on this household. You haven't had a real job in 5 years. And honestly, Louis should be thanking me. This mobile home community was holding him back. That was the last straw for me. 17 years in food service, working double shifts, supporting 2 deadbeat roommates, and she was calling me unambitious. Get out, Nancy, I said, my voice low. Right now, we have documented everything. Your police report was dismissed as a civil issue. Your demand letter is trash. If you try to contact me, Jack, or the landlord again, I will file a harassment complaint and sue you for the $85 I paid the plumber because Jack used a butter knife on the disposal, which you cheered him on for doing. I might have embellished that last part slightly, but it felt good. Nancy's jaw tightened. She looked at me, then Jack, then the moving guys who were awkwardly carrying a box of scented candles past us. She realized she had lost control of the narrative. Fine, she hissed, grabbing her suitcase. I'll see you in small claims court, Lou. You'll regret challenging me. She stomped out the front door, slamming the cheap metal screen door so hard the flimsy frame rattled. Jack and I just looked at each other, stunned. Did she just say she'd see you in small claims court over her self-bought anniversary gift and the Talenti gelato? Jack asked. She absolutely did, I confirmed, rubbing my temples. But she's gone, man, she's actually gone. We did a high five and then immediately started scouring her empty room for any further hidden receipts or passive-aggressive farewell notes. We found neither, but we did find 3 empty bottles of Chardonnay hidden under her bed, which explained a lot. Fast forward to Friday. This is the hard part. We found a place. It's a tiny, ancient 2-bedroom apartment near the highway about 10 miles away. It smells faintly of desperation and pine cleaner, but it's legal. It's only $1,450 a month, and we managed to talk the landlord down on the deposit because we showed up with cash and looked thoroughly stressed. I had to borrow $1,800 from my sister, who fortunately still loves me despite my life choices. She told me to pay her back slowly, and she sent me a text afterward that said, "Seriously, Louis, stop dating people who claim they are building a business empire by selling eucalyptus oil. I know, sis, I know. We paid the deposit and the first month's rent. We are officially moving out in 2 days, a full 10 days ahead of the eviction deadline. We're trying to be proactive to minimize any further issues with Brenda and Sunburst Oasis Acquisitions LLC. The logistics are a nightmare. I'm exhausted. I've worked 3 double shifts this week just trying to cushion the financial blow. I've been running on coffee, rage, and the knowledge that I will never have to look at Nancy Jones's perfectly ironed blazer again. Louis Bailey 36M character development check. I actually stood up to Nancy. I didn't crumble, I didn't pay the money, and I didn't get arrested. I got proactive and sought professional help instead of stress-eating microwave chicken nuggets. I'm still stressed, but I feel marginally less like a complete failure. Jack Chen 41M character development check. Jack has been amazing. He's doing the laundry, he's packing boxes sort of, and he's actually doing research on starting a real, legitimate eBay resale business instead of buying random mini drones. He even paid me back $150 of the utility money he owed me. It's a start. He's still messy TBH, but he's committed to being a better roommate in the new place. We even signed a detailed, notarized roommate agreement this morning that specifically prohibits passive-aggressive notes and butter knives near the garbage disposal. Nancy Jones 45F character development check. She's just Nancy, ambitious upstart. I haven't heard from her since the moving day confrontation, but my sister sent me a text yesterday. Guess who just posted on LinkedIn about securing a premium corporate living space to optimize client relations? She's already bragging about her 5th floor view. She's fine. She's probably running some new scam on her new unfortunate roommates. This morning, the end of the Sunburst Oasis community era, we're loading the last of the boxes into a U-Haul Jack rented. It smells like stale pizza and determination. We've scrubbed 17B down to the structural beams. I took photos of everything, every corner, every clean floor, just in case Brenda tries to claim we damaged the place. I want my $500 security deposit back, even if it's a long shot. I walked through the empty rooms one last time. The kitchen counter where I found the eviction notice and the passive-aggressive purple gift. The tiny living room where Jack spent 90% of his life on Valorant. My room, which was always the quiet, dark refuge from the absurdity. It was depressing, but mostly it was just done. As we were locking up, I noticed a very official-looking white envelope shoved into the screen door handle. I sighed, what now? A final demand from Nancy, a notice from the city. I picked it up. It was from Sunburst Oasis Acquisitions LLC. I opened it cautiously. It was a final notice regarding the lease termination. And attached to it was a check for $253. I blinked. $253. The accompanying letter stated security deposit $500, deductions $247, final utility overages and mandatory carpet cleaning fee. Remaining balance $253. They sent me back over half my deposit. I didn't get the full $500, but given that we were literally evicted, I considered $253 a massive win. I stuffed the check into my wallet. Jack came over, wiping sweat from his brow. You good, man? Ready to go? I looked at the cheap metal door of trailer 17B, which had been my home for 5 years. It was a dump, but it was my dump. Now it was just a memory, tainted by the stench of failure, terrible roommates, and excessive noise complaints. Yeah, Jack, let's go. We have a lot of ramen to eat. We got into the U-Haul. Jack started the engine. As we pulled out of the Sunburst Oasis community for the last time, I saw an unmarked police car pull into the parking lot near 17B. I squinted. Was that Officer Rodriguez? Were they finally looking into Nancy's false reports? Or were they just coming to check if we had left? Just as we turned onto the main road, Jack got a text. His phone buzzed like crazy, sitting in the cup holder. "Who is that?" I asked. Jack picked up his phone, his eyes widening as he read the screen. "Oh my God, Louis, it's Nancy." He held the phone up so I could read the text. She had texted him because I blocked her. "Nancy Jones, 45F. Jack, I am having a major emergency. The utilities were not turned on in my new corporate apartment on the 5th floor. I called the utility company and they said the connection was flagged because of a pending debt from my previous address. They said Louis used my name on the overdue account paperwork when he paid the electric bill. I'm going to miss my critical client presentation at 10 a.m. You need to tell Louis to fix this immediately or I am going back to the police station." I laughed. I actually laughed out loud, a genuine, loud, slightly manic laugh that tasted like freedom and Panera croutons. "She's complaining that the bill I paid using the $200 she claimed I stole is now causing her problem," I gasped, wiping a tear from my eye. "She tried to use the police report and the eviction to get out of her shared debts and now the universe is making her pay." "What do we do, Louis?" Jack asked, grinning maniacally. I looked down at my phone. I briefly considered unblocking her. I thought about the time she ate my entire expensive charcuterie board I had planned for a date and then claimed I had invented the date entirely. "Jack, do you remember what Nancy always said when we complained about the dirty dishes? That we need to exhibit more maturity and ownership." "Exactly," I said, leaning back in the seat, feeling the sun hit my face for the first time in what felt like months. "She needs to handle her professional obligations. Drive, Jack, and block her number." He blocked her, we drove, we left the Sunburst Oasis community behind. Reflection: 2 months later, I'm typing this from my new apartment. It's small and the walls are thin, but the garbage disposal works and the rent is covered. I haven't seen Nancy since that Saturday morning. I haven't received any more legal threats, which suggests her small claims court threat was just empty posturing. Jack and I are still roommates. We're doing okay. He's much better about the rent, and we have a rotating chore chart that is mostly adhered to. He sold his gaming headset and now uses earbuds, eliminating the noise complaints. He actually got a part-time job stocking shelves at a local hardware store, which gives him steady income while he tries to ramp up his resale business. We call it the Louis Bailey School of Responsibility. He hates the name, but he's paying the bills. I'm still at Panera, but I'm actively looking at management training programs. The whole ordeal with Nancy, the eviction, and the desperate scramble for money forced me to face the fact that I needed more financial stability than I was willing to admit. I realized that my biggest mistake wasn't dating Nancy or forgetting her anniversary. It was allowing myself to stay complacent in a bad living situation out of sheer exhaustion and avoidance. I still have bad days. When the new rent bill comes, I feel that same tight panic in my chest. I still owe my sister money, but I am sleeping better. I don't have to worry about a note taped to the fridge demanding reimbursement for a single square of toilet paper. The biggest takeaway: Audacity is powerful, but documentation is more powerful. And sometimes, losing everything is the only way you realize that you're capable of rebuilding something better. Yesterday, I bought a new carton of Talenti Gelato Sea Salt Caramel this time. I ate the entire thing in one sitting, locked in my new room without fear of a note or a receipt being left on my counter. It was the best damn gelato I've ever tasted. Anyway, that's the update. Wish I could say I was totally financially free, but I'm not. Wish I could say I never saw Nancy again, but I heard from Jack that she's now managing a very expensive booth at a craft fair, selling bespoke pet grooming supplies. She's probably terrorizing the other vendors. But I'm here, I'm safe, and I'm finally truly moving forward. Thanks for letting me vent, Reddit, I needed it.